guys, so in this lesson we're going to talk about lead sheets and fake books. So a fake book is just a collection of lead sheets used by jazz musicians. They're so called because even if a jazz musician didn't know a particular song, using a lead sheet he or she is able to fake their way through a performance. So a lead sheet contains just the skeleton of the song. Specifically, it includes the song's basic melody and basic chords, and nothing else. Lead sheets are designed for ease and for sight reading, where it's much easier to sight read a single melody line and some basic chords, rather than a fully written out transcription or score. So even though a lead sheet does contain the basic melody and chords of a song, it does not contain a lot of other important things. It doesn't contain any harmonization or embellishments of the melody. It doesn't really include any chord substitutions or chord alterations or extensions that you can use. And the chord written out in the lead sheet isn't necessarily the one that was actually used in the recording. Lead sheets generally contain simplified chords. They may write a C major 7 instead of a C major 9 sharp 11. And they don't deal very well with modern jazz or non-standard harmony. Lead sheets generally try to simplify complex chords or polychords or unusual non-standard chords. So for example, in the song Iris by Wayne Shorter, the lead sheet tells you to play an A flat major 7 sharp 5 chord. Whereas if you listen to the actual recording, the chord that's played is actually an A flat major 7 sharp 5 natural 5 chord. So a little bit more complex, a little bit of a non-standard chord. And so the lead sheet doesn't really know how to deal with these complexities. It generally just approximates complex chords or polychords. Another thing the lead sheet doesn't tell you is what chord voicing to use. Lead sheets generally just state a chord with no further details. And voicings are sometimes very important. In modal jazz songs, for example, you should generally try use quartal voicings. Now, a lead sheet won't necessarily tell you this. And the best known example of this is the song So What, which uses a so what chord voicing. And playing So What without using the so what chord could sound a little bit strange. And a lead sheet may or may not tell you what chord voicing to actually use. And lead sheets may not necessarily tell you whether there are any riffs, ostinatos or vamps that you should be using over the song. Some jazz songs have a classic vamp or riff that is really integral and really important to the song, so that playing the song without this riff or vamp won't quite sound right. And the lead sheet generally won't tell you what vamp to play. So for example, with the song Take 5, a lead sheet won't tell you that you need to play that really well-known little chord pattern or vamp. And similarly, the lead sheet of Watermelon Man won't tell you that you need to play the Watermelon Man vamp. And it's the same with a lot of other songs that use vamps, like Cantaloupe Island or Footprints or many others. Another problem is that the original fake books contain a lot of mistakes. They have incorrect melody notes, incorrect chords, incorrect chord progressions, they're written in wrong keys, they're missing bars, and so on. For example, the lead sheet of Desafinado is actually missing 4 bars. And if we look at the lead sheet of the song Orbits, it shows you a melody and a chord progression. But if you listen to the recording of Orbits, you'll notice that it doesn't actually have any chords. There's no piano comping. And yet the lead sheet does have a chord progression. So where exactly did these chords come from? Or if we look at the lead sheet of the Coltrane song Blue Train. Now firstly, the title's wrong. It should be Blue Choo-Choo Train rather than Blue Coltrane. The key is wrong. For some reason it was transposed from E flat to C. The chords are wrong. This song was actually recorded as a standard blues rather than a minor blues. So the chord should be a dominant 7 sharp 9 chord rather than a minor 7 chord. And the melody is wrong. There are 2 notes in bar 8 which are incorrect. And to top it all off, the usual vamp isn't written out. Now, the original fake books were released in the 1970s, and as you've seen, they have a lot of mistakes in them. And they were illegal because they didn't pay royalties to the copyright owners. The more recent fake books are of a much higher quality, they aren't illegal, and they have fewer, if any, mistakes. But the earlier ones are still widely available and widely used. Now, a lot of jazz musicians are really disparaging of lead sheet players because using a lead sheet doesn't force you to memorize a tune. And a lead sheet can be a little bit of a musical crutch, so that if you only ever play from a lead sheet and you only ever play what's there, it's a little bit boring and a little bit repetitive, and it kind of stifles your creativity. Now, of course, listening and transcribing a song from an actual recording is much better, but personally I don't see any problem in using a lead sheet. As long as you don't completely and solely rely on the lead sheet, and you do actually listen to the actual recording to hear what's actually going on, then I think it's perfectly fine to use a lead sheet. As long as you treat it as just one of many possible resources. So lead sheets are a great and a useful resource as long as you don't play them exactly as written. So when using a lead sheet, again, never play it exactly as written, and always listen to the actual recording of the song to hear if there are any chord voicings or vamps that you need to integrate into your own performance of the song. You should also harmonize or embellish the melody from the lead sheet whenever necessary. You should substitute, extend, and alter chords from just the basic chords on the lead sheet, again, whenever necessary. You need to add the appropriate chord voicings, and you need to add any appropriate vamps. And again, be mindful of the errors. Take all lead sheets with a grain of salt. But if you keep all of those things in mind and do all of those things, there's no real reason why you can't use a lead sheet. It's a perfectly good resource as long as you treat it as just that, a resource and not the complete source of truth. Cool, that's it for me. Thanks again, guys. See ya.